when I first bought my RV back in 2019, I immediately started to make a lot of changes to her and didn't realize that some of the changes I was making would be considered really, really controversial. So let's talk about them. This is a 2000 Roadtrek 190 Popular that I bought in 2019. It's only had one previous owner, and that owner kept it close to what Roadtrek initially designed, possibly because they were concerned about resale value. And listen, that's not a small thing. RVs cost a significant amount of money, and so you'll see a lot of owners willing to make changes that would be considered an upgrade, especially for resale value, but they're very careful not to kind of decrease the value of this relatively expensive purchase. Because if you ever decide to sell it, obviously you want to have the most bang for your buck. But I'm not most people. When I decided to buy this RV, I knew that this was going to be mine forever. And because I planned on living with her for significant periods, like when I would live in her, I would be living in her all the time for months and months on end. So the changes that I made to my RV, most of them are not considered upgrades. They're honestly considered more of a downgrade. I made a lot of changes to her to make it match my personal lifestyle with zero regard to whether I could ever sell her, because I really don't intend to sell her. Ever. So probably the number one most controversial thing that I did to this RV was to remove the toilet. And so inside this door used to be the bathroom. And so the idea is you would sit on the toilet, this door would be open, bedroom, toilet was here. Now, you do have this door, which also opens. I like how that sign is here. Now you have a private bathroom or change room. Okay, so again, toilet still goes into the bedroom, but with a slight, it covers the back window at least. For myself, there's really just no way. As close as this bathroom is to the bedroom and the kitchen and everything else, there was just no way I was gonna use her for a bathroom. Now, I do have this bucket, and somewhere underneath here, I have like a toilet seat designed specifically for this bucket, and I've got like the special bags, etc., in case an emergency happens and I legitimately just have to go. Obviously, I've also used her as storage. I've got stuff in her, but in theory, I could quickly dump that out and use this as a toilet if I had to. I was traveling with a kid. I didn't know for sure what kind of emergencies might happen, so I brought something that could be used as a toilet. But I much rather, one, have this space for storage, and two, I just never want to use my house as a toilet. Like, the space is just too small, in my humble opinion. Again, for an emergency, sure, but yeah, so far, no. And I'm happy to report the previous owner, because again, there was a toilet there that I had to remove. As I was removing the old toilet, I was like, ugh, not looking forward to what might be in this old toilet and the plumbing and the black tank. Happy to report they literally never used the black tank either. They just kept that toilet in there. So literally no one has ever used the black tank in this RV. And so there was no issue getting rid of the toilet and then using this space as storage. I definitely prefer having the storage over having a potentially smelly bathroom. Again, in terms of resale value, a lot of people buy an RV specifically for the bathroom. I removed the third seat. Okay, so right now we've got these two front seats, perfect for me and Alex. The dog's normally in the middle or on our laps. Here, where this table is, used to be a third chair. The third chair is not safety rated. So for me, it seemed like a waste of space. I did ponder putting the dog there, but I was pretty sure my dog would rather be closer to us. So I moved him up front and instead put a table. This is from IKEA, but also the passenger seat plus that third chair technically made another single bed for us that I don't have because I completely removed that seat. And even though I did crack my table during the RV life, so I need to fix this, I love having this table here. I've got cooking space, a little bit of counter space, and now much more counter space. Super happy with that change. I do slightly regret, so obviously this is IKEA. I didn't make this table. It juts out a little too much into the door, so I do wish it was a little shorter, just by a couple inches, but overall, still glad the table is here. Speaking of tables, this baby came with 2 table areas. This area right here used to be all carpet. So obviously I covered this, but in covering it, you can feel it. I don't think you can really see it that well, but there's this bump here. Used to look like that bump. And so there was a place where I could put a pole and put a table there. I kept the table. That's where the table is stored, but I only use the table up here. It barely fits in the front. Both of my chairs can swivel backwards, by the way. And so I use the big table here. The table that originally came and was designed to be in the front was much smaller and had, I think, 3 little leaflets to make it a little bit bigger. And I hated that table. I hate leafed tables just in general. It just felt unstable to me. And so I would rather have that large table up here, although it does make walking back and forth in this region a little difficult. So when I pull the table out, I'm committing to the table for at least a certain period of time. But I took the other table and threw her away. And I'm betting a lot of Roadtrek owners would be super annoyed that I got rid of it. But this is my RV and I wanted it to flow the way I wanted it to flow. So I kind of got rid of the ability to put a table in the back, and I got rid of the table that was intended for the front. Okay, so the other change I made is in this spot used to be a microwave. The microwave, 1, just isn't important in my daily life normally, but 2, getting rid of the microwave and all of its connecting parts opened up the space so much more. Like, this is exactly where the microwave would have been. I honestly would much rather have this open space. This RV is pretty small. It's 20 feet long and it's, I don't know, car space wide. It's a fairly small living space. And so I knew that anything I wasn't planning on using, I should probably get rid of. So the microwave was kind of the first thing to go. The roominess that I got from getting rid of that microwave, no regrets. Other things that I did. So in the 190 Popular, you have 2 beds, but you could also actually combine this to make 1 bed, and it came with additional cushions to make it 1 bed, and I threw those away. I didn't throw the cushions away immediately, but these beds are super narrow, and so having that extra cushion on the side of it took away what little room I had. And so because I knew that it's me and my son, and we don't like to share beds, I threw away the middle cushions. All right, first of all, what is up with all the RVs always having a darker wall? Like, they almost always have a wood color, sometimes even like a dark wood color trim on everything. Who likes that? Especially with such a small space like this Class B, having the original wood for me just felt dark and depressing. So I absolutely painted everything white, and then I also replaced these handles. Now, some people might consider that an upgrade that I made everything white, but I'm just going to be honest that if you look closely, I absolutely did such a rush paint job throughout this RV. I still like it. I love that it's predominantly white, but it's not perfect. There are so many parts of my RV where you probably wonder if a child painted it, and no, it was not Alex. It was me. In a hurry. No regrets. With the exception of the front curtains, I got rid of all the curtains. 1, they're purple, they're not my style. I just did not like it aesthetically speaking. Kind of like originally this whole place was brown, probably one of my least favorite colors. So obviously I painted her white, but also the curtains. 1, I'm not a huge curtain person. I usually have blinds in my homes, but 2, the color was not my favorite. So I removed them from the back, threw them away. I kept these front ones because they go around. Because they go around the front. And I decided that those curtains would be the hardest ones to replace. All the back ones I'm able to cover with some Reflectix that I bought, but this front one I thought would be a little more tricky. So whenever I'm in the mood to actually deal with replacing these curtains, I will. But for now, function over fashion, I kept the front ones. I still use some Reflectix in the front because I do think seeing these curtains makes it look kind of like somebody's living here. Like, it makes it look like it's a house, which is not really my goal. Unless I'm specifically on a campground, I kind of want people to think that nobody lives here. Even though I really think in a Roadtrek, it's kind of hard to stealth camp. That's apparently also controversial. Now, I will say I almost regret getting rid of. You can kind of see, I used to have curtains up here that would cover these 3 windows, especially midday when the sun is right overhead, but I'm sure I can finagle something to cover those up eventually. Removing the curtains for the shower. So the way the shower works in my 190 Popular is the middle section, which is also my kitchen. There's a basin. It's almost like I'm in a mini bathtub. So in the back of it, there's a drain for the shower. And the idea is, so we have the controls for the hot and cold water. It goes through the hose, and the hose is fairly long, but it's gonna loop up here, over there. So when I close the door, this is where my shower head is. It's loose. These buttons will start and stop the shower as needed. But obviously if the shower is running, it's just gonna get everywhere. So I need a shower curtain. Well, the original shower curtain had a track very similar to the curtains covering the windshield, and it just ran all around, giving me a 2.5 foot by 2.5 foot area for my shower that's the drain. And I found that to be a little constricting. And so instead, got rid of the tracks, got rid of the shower curtain, and I've applied hooks throughout my RV to essentially give me a little extra space so I would have more room for my shower. So I still have the shower in the RV and I use the same basic process that it was originally designed for, but my larger space doesn't look as manicured as maybe the space that Roadtrek created. So when I put the curtains up, it just looks jerry-rigged. I don't know any other way of phrasing it. Okay, so from the front of the RV, this is kind of what she looks like. I just created a little extra corner to give some space. I bought 3 curtains to make this happen. And it's kind of hard to show you exactly what it looks like from inside. I have a basket that I hang here to hold all of my shampoo and all that kind of stuff. Hi, Henry. He's like, what are you doing in here? But as you can see, it's much roomier. I wouldn't have been able to like spread my arms like this if it wasn't for this extra space. Essentially, the curtains would have cut off here. I didn't really make this side bigger because that's where like the basin of the floor ends, but I created like just a little triangle. I created a little triangle on this side just to give a little more space, because before, this little space was super tight. I will be getting new curtains because these are a little old, but they worked perfectly for my needs when I first lived in her. The first time I took a shower in the RV, I had no idea how important it was to level the RV. So the front of my RV was actually a little lower than the back. Not significant, but enough for water to know. So as I was taking a shower, I remember thinking that water was not piling up at my feet. The drain must be working really well. I was very happy. When I finished taking the shower, that was when I looked closer to the ground, and it turned out that all the water, instead of being at my feet, which is also next to the drain, had moved to the front of the cab. Luckily, the amount of water that I used was not so much that it overflowed. The water was literally up to the lip of this basin area. Oh my gosh. So glad it did not overspill into the front where there's carpet. Why is there carpet here? Carpet in an RV just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, I ended up using a dustpan to kind of sweep the water towards the back so it could get drained, because obviously at that point is not when you want to drive the car to level it out. Like at that point, you have to manually kind of sweep the water backwards towards the drain so everything is good. Yeah, fun fact, when you take a shower in an RV, especially in a Roadtrek, being level definitely matters. Also, even though I need to fix my hot water, I love that I have a shower in the RV. Like, I love it. And those are the major changes I've made to this RV. Little changes I've made are things like adding hooks, adding magnetic strips, so I don't have to hold my phone all the time. So there you have it. This is my Roadtrek 2190 Popular and the changes I made to her. And I'm super curious about the changes that you might have made to your vehicle, or the changes you think you would make to your vehicle when you get her.